Marooned Awakening is a drama mystery film that is now premiering in UK cinemas and will be on streaming services courtesy of Gravitas Ventures in the US and Canada on February 21st. But is the film any good, and should you be investing your time in this film? Well, stick around and let's talk about it. A young journalist wishing to leave his island home embarks on one final investigation. As he uncovers the truth of a recent boat accident, he is forced to reconsider his own perception of reality. The film stars Murray McArthur, Cameron Ashplant, Tilly Keeper, and Tim McInnerny, and was directed by Musaab Mustafa, and this is his directorial debut. So before checking out Marooned Awakening, I did get a synopsis of this film, and I figured I'll give it a shot and see what this film has going for it. So you have this boy named Alex who is trying to do better in his life, and he wants to be a newspaper writer. And he has this big break where somebody calls him and says, hey, you can join us as a junior writer, but you need to write a outlandish story. So he wants to investigate something that would land him on the map and get him a really big story. He has his father who is a drunk, and the father is a fisherman, and he wants him to be a fisherman, and he doesn't want to follow that path. And of course, the father doesn't support him and doesn't want him to be a writer. The father and son can't get along, and he doesn't have that support from his father. He's going to do what is best for him, and he makes sure that he tells his girlfriend, Emily, that he is going to do what's right for him and what he should do to better his life. And I definitely understand where he's coming from here, as some people, they want to really better their life and they want to feel like they've accomplished something. They don't want to follow the footsteps of others, and not everyone has the same interests as others. And I think here, the father wanting him to be a fisherman, to me, I don't really think that's really much of a career, and not really much that can really advance Alex in life. With him being a writer, at least he can write on real topics. The father is also still grieving over the loss of their mother, and they have these scenes in this film where they have black and white shots. And I really did love that aesthetic, as we have Alex shown on a beach and he's reminiscing over different memories, and we get to hear his different thoughts. And I like that they have that separation from the color of the movie, because it shows a unique perspective and it shows Alex's thoughts while he's stuck on this island. Things that I was not really a big fan of in this film is the relationship between Emily and Alex. I felt like at first that wasn't the most clearest relationship. I didn't really feel like they had a big love for each other until we have this one scene where he finally distinguishes the fact that he really loves her and he wants to marry her. I found that that was the breaking point between their relationship of actually being in love, but I never felt like they had a really deep connection as a couple. I also felt with this film, the whole narrative between the investigation and how he's trying to be this writer, I felt like that wasn't really polished enough. I felt kind of confused of certain things that were actually going on, and I felt the narrative didn't really land for me like it should. The score I was a little bit half and half on. There were certain parts where I liked certain music that was being played, but then there were certain parts where they would play this really suspenseful music. And I thought to myself, I'm not really sure if this particular song really warrants to be in this part of the particular film. So I was a little bit kind of mixed on that score. I think ultimately this film has some pretty good ideas. I like the whole relationship and the friction between the father and son. I think the whole relationship between him and his girlfriend definitely should have been developed more. And I think overall the investigation portion, I just don't really think for me it really comes together and wraps along all three stories that are going on at once. And I think from an audio perspective in this film, I can see where there is some budget constraints. The audio isn't bad in this film, but I also can see where there could be some improvements in the audio here, as I think some of it could be a little bit elevated a little bit more, but that may be due to the fact of budget restraints. So I would say that would be a negative as well. As far as a score of what I would give this film, I would give it a 2 out of 5. It's kind of a meh film for me. I think for a debut for a director like this, I think he has some good ideas under his belt. I'm not sure if he wrote this movie or he had somebody else write this movie, but I think from the perspective of him directing this movie, I think there's some good ideas, but I just don't think in the end when this film wraps up, I don't really feel like I really enjoyed the bulk of this movie. I think there was just some things missing for me, and I think there were things that could have been polished up and things that could have been rewritten and things that could have been edited out. However, I appreciate the screening, and let me know in the comments, guys, are you going to check this film out? If you have watched it, let me know in the comments, what did you think about the film? Do you agree with my score, or do you think I should have rated this film higher? Thank you guys for watching this review, and I will see you guys on my next review.